And a very good morning to you. Should I say good morning? Yeah, I guess that's the routine. Well, good morning to you, Grenada, on this very unusual Sunday morning. Let me start by saying that we're not going to be doing the usual stuff here this morning. Yeah, and you know why. This island, my dear friends, is under a tropical storm watch. And we're going to improvise. We have never had to do one of these before, but we're going to try and have you share your thoughts with us. Let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods, and we'll tell you as much as we can about whatever is coming out of the National Hurricane Center. Which, by the way, is where I think I should begin this morning. Hello there, Osmond. Osmond saying good morning to you guys. So is Floyd. Ernesto, T.F. Richards, Dennis Clark. Hopes all is well. Yes, Dennis, looking forward to seeing you. Now, folks, the last report that I have from the National Hurricane Center made absolutely no mention, and that's the 8 o'clock report, which was what, 1 hour, 2 minutes ago, made absolutely no mention of Tropical Storm Karen. However, I do have a report from them. Hold on, no, don't. I do have a report from them which came in at 5 o'clock this morning, and it says that at 5 o'clock, the center of newly formed Tropical Storm Karen was located near latitude 11.9 degrees north, longitude 60.2 west. Karen is moving towards the west-northwest near 9 miles an hour. That's about 15 kilometers per hour. And this general motion is expected to continue today. A turn towards the northwest is forecast to occur on Monday, followed by a turn towards the north on Tuesday. On the forecast track, Karen will move across the Windward Islands this afternoon and tonight, and emerge over the southeastern Caribbean Sea on Monday morning. On Tuesday, Karen is expected to approach Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Maximum sustained winds are near 40 miles an hour with higher gusts. Little change in strength is forecast during the next 48 hours. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles. That's about 205 kilometers from the center. Barbados recently reported a sustained wind of 37 miles an hour and a gust to 45 miles an hour. The estimated minimum central pressure is 100.5 millibars. Now, that came in directly from the National Hurricane Center at 5 o'clock this morning. Now, they did have a report at 8 o'clock. Let me see if I can put my paws on it. Yep, here it is. As if you didn't have enough to worry about with Karen just down the road there. Just in case that wasn't enough for you, here is what the National Hurricane Center is telling us at 8 o'clock this morning. That's an hour and 5 minutes ago. Satellite images show that thunderstorm activity associated with a strong tropical wave that has moved off the west coast of Africa this morning is quickly becoming better organized. Environmental conditions are conducive for further development, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is expected to form, hear this, later today or tonight. This thing just came off the coast of Africa. Huh? All right. While the system moves generally westward over the eastern tropical Atlantic at 15 to 20 miles an hour. Interest in the Cape Verde Islands should monitor the progress of this disturbance. Regardless of development, the system is likely to bring locally heavy rainfall and gusty winds to portion of the southern Cape Verde Islands. And folks, over the next 48 hours, as well as over the next 5 days, a 90% probability, or chance, if you will, okay, that this thing's going to turn into a storm. I mean, now come on. That's a high degree of certainty, isn't it? Yeah? Okay. Just let me, like I told you, we're winging it this morning. And in just a minute, I'll tell you what sort of mischief I've been getting into here to try and help me make it through this morning alone. Nobody's coming in here to see me this morning. We had tons of stuff prepared for this morning, but because of this pending arrival of Karen, we're going to alter things just a wee bit. Let me get back here to, yeah. So Ernesto is there. Dennis Perkins is saying good morning. He says it's dull and wet here in London. Chickened out, eh? Come on down and face the music, Dennis. Just kidding. Arthur Langine's there and Ryan Jabon's there. Anthea Rello is checking in, but this morning she's not in Decatur, Georgia. She is in St. Croix. Hurry up and get out, girl. This thing may get up there eventually. I don't know. Lydia James is saying good morning. Kipling Francis is sending his blessings. And John Nosyneck is saying, it's getting a bit blowy up here on Carriacou. Expecting heavy rains later. Yeah, I think we can all expect heavy rains. And I'm going to try and show you a satellite picture in just a wee bit. Jeannie Pascal, good morning. Glenn Andrew Mark, good morning. Opie says, good week to all. Seeing and listening to SWGG, be safe. As Karen heads our way, yeah. Ernesto, as a pilot, you can explain longitude and latitude for those who don't know. Longitude are the lines that go up and down, and latitude are the ones that go crossways. Okay. No time for that this morning, Ernesto. Ryan Jabon says, tropical storm Karen, 55 miles southeast of Grenada. And it's Broco Duncan. Haven't seen that name. Have you guys seen that? ITZBROKO. It's Broco Duncan. Good morning, sir. He's saying good morning to you guys. All right. Folks, just let me pull up something here. There are several sites that I monitor during the hurricane season, you know. And one of them is called VIERZYNSKI. And this is what they're showing at the moment. Now, I'm going to try and put the cursor here over Grenada, right? There is Grenada. You see that little hand that's up there? Very tiny hand, by the way. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get it any bigger for you. But that tiny hand is where Grenada is. And this is Trinidad down here. As you can see, Trinidad's pretty well covered, which is really interesting because just a few minutes ago, I was speaking to somebody in Trinidad, and I think the person is, let me see here. The person is in a place called Chamflon, I think. Hold on. Yeah, yeah, Chamflon. And she sent me a picture, and she says this was just taken from the front yard. Not even a sprinkle here in Champlain. Yeah, you know, you know, that's why satellite pictures can sometimes be pretty deceptive. Usually, when you look at satellite pictures, you have to look for the red areas. You know that you're likely to get pretty heavy rain where that red shows up. And if it starts showing up white, means very heavy rain. Well, I'm looking at this thing here now, and Trinidad seems totally covered. And according to what Ryan said a little while ago, the leading edge of it is about 55 miles southeast of here. And these folks in Trinidad are saying nada, nothing. But that's only there, okay? Fitzroy saying good morning. So, what I did this morning, I have sent out a number of invitations to people around the island. I also sent one to the people in Trinidad, asking that they keep us. Hold on a sec. Just let me look at my WhatsApp here. Oh, yeah. Somebody sent me a video here of Tobago, and Tobago is flooded. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah. Seems like they're having a lot of flooding in Tobago right now. And what else? Tessa Barry. Tessa, do me a favor, Tessa. Go to my website if you're not there yet, and you should see a link which says, what does it say here? Da, 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 da. Yeah. That link, Tessa, says, oops. Tropical Storm Karen. Now, click on that link, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring you in, or cut and paste that link into your browser, and let's see if you pop up on Zoom here, because I've sent a number of links to different people. I didn't send one to you because I couldn't find your email address. But click on that, Tessa, and see if you show up here on Zoom this morning. And I'm hoping that others who would like to chime in and, let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. You simply need to have a smartphone, a laptop, an iPad, a desktop. Anything that can handle Skype should be able to handle us, right? Put that link into your browser and show up here. And boy, would we love to hear from you. Anthony DeRiggs is saying, George, Tobago getting real bad weather. Well, Anthony, from what I see here, it looks like you're absolutely right. They seem to be getting a lot of rain down there. And as you probably saw from the picture that I'm showing you here now, the heavy rain ain't reached here yet. I'll tell you, this morning at about 1:30, we did have an awful lot of rain here, an awful lot, about 1:30. But then that subsided, and up to the time I came on the air here about 5 to 9 or so this morning, very overcast, very overcast. And if you look to the east or southeast of here, it looks not just cloudy, but hazy. And that sent chills up and down my spine. You know why? I will never forget Ivan. This thing is nowhere of the caliber of storm or hurricane that Ivan was. But one thing I think a lot of people will remember about Ivan is the fact that it got very hazy. And I remember, I think it was Ricardo Keynes Douglas who said that he saw the wind. Yeah, he saw the wind. I think that's what people were talking about. It wasn't just hazy. I mean, you know what haze is all about. But you could actually see, see like the air. Yeah, yeah. That brought chills up and down my mind, and that's what I was looking at just to the east of here a wee bit ago. Oh, did I hear somebody chiming in there? Let me see here. Let me. Hello. Okay.
But George, this is Trinidad. This is Tunapuna area at the moment.
Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Yeah, there's somebody out there. Oh, Trinidad, Tuna Puna. All right. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec, Tuna Puna. Did I hear somebody chiming in there? Let me see here. You can actually. Okay. Uh huh. Ah, there's Tessa. Hello, Tessa. Hello, Tessa. How are you doing, girl?
I'm doing okay.
Tessa, yeah, heavy clouds over you there, but is it raining where you were?
Yes, and we've had lots of rain last night. Rain has since held up a bit.
Okay. Ah, there's Tessa. Hello, Tessa. Yeah, Tessa is showing us. Tessa, how are you doing, girl?
I'm doing okay.
Tessa, yeah, heavy clouds over you there, but is it raining where you were?
No rain at the moment. Yes, and we've had lots of rain last night. Has since held up a bit.
Okay. Ah, there's Tessa. Hello, Tessa. Okay, yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback there, but I'll tell you what, Tess. Thank you so much for. Thank you. So, yeah, heavy clouds over you there. Oh, wow. Where you were? We heard
No
that.
rain at the moment. We've had lots of rain last night. Has since held up a bit.
Stay. I hope you can stay with us throughout the next 3 hours, Tess. And if there's any change, just chime in and let us know what's going on down there. Okay? Okay. Yeah, a lot of clouds, no rain. So far, so good. Okay. Getting back here to Jennifer McDonald is saying good morning from Pennsylvania. Tessa said a little while ago, she says, George Tobago, that seems to be taking the brunt of it. Uh huh. Okay. And Jennifer McDonald is in Pennsylvania. Charmaine DeLille is sending us her blessings. Girl, we need them. Grenada Sunshine says September 22nd, praying that God spares us. Yeah, you must have been around for Janet or at least Ivan. I've been through both of those. Yeah. Anthony is saying Janet's anniversary. John Bruno's checking in. And Jackie O is praying for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Jackie. You're so kind. Kelvin Lewis is saying good morning to you, Mr. Grant, and the entire listening public. I hope Ms. Karen passes her way from our little island. There is so much rain up here in Nassau. Well, you know, guys, I don't mean to put a damper on your parade, but you know, you guys are at the end of the line for these systems coming across the Atlantic. So I just hope you don't receive another visit from another one. Yeah. Tikai Livingston says, good morning, cuz. I have a cousin named Tikai. Well, okay. I'd love to meet you someday. Tikai. Charmaine DeLille says there's an echo, George. Yeah, I noticed that when we were talking to Tessa a little while ago. Sorry about that. John Bruno says, St. Vincent is giving regular updates on shelters. Nothing from Grenada. Well, you know, sir, I still haven't got my list, but that's okay. I think I've worn that out. I've begged enough for that, and I've begged. Mike McQuilkin is saying good morning. It's bright and sunny here in Brooklyn. Well, good for you, Mr. McQuilkin. Send some sunshine down there. We could do with some. Anthony says, suppose the storm gets really bad. Where are the shelters? Peter Bishop saying good morning. Earl Steele, Sr., saying good morning. He's in New York. And Carol James said, Lord, hear our prayers. Good morning to all. Be safe. Thank you. Yeah, Carol. Boy, I bet a lot of people are praying right now. But again, I'm not telling you to let your guard down, but from what I see, this isn't going to be an Ivan. Do you know, so many people still hang on to memories of what happened during Ivan. A little wind blows, and everybody goes, ah. And that's understandable, you know. It was a tough time. And I don't think there are any of us around who wish to see that again. Yeah? Yeah. Oh boy. Mosquito Man, Lenroy Frederick is saying good morning to Mr. Grant. Good morning to you, Mosquito Man. Where are we getting all of these names from? Tick Eye, Mosquito Man. Who was the other one? Can't find it right now. Can't find it. But welcome to Tick Eye and Mosquito Man. Hope to meet you both one of these days. Would be my honor. All right, folks. I'll tell you what. As I mentioned, you know, we have the editorials and all that stuff. You know, we have that stuff, but. Should I go ahead and, you know, as we wait on you folks to start chiming in via Zoom, you know, maybe we could listen to the editorials. Huh? Okay, let's take a little break here, and we'll set that up. Anthony DeRigg says the water might be the problem. Sonia McKee, John, saying good morning to you guys. Hurricane PTSD. What the heck is that, Ryan? Hurricane PTSD? You got me on that one. Okay. Yeah, man. Let's take a little break here and. Hold on. Mosquito Man says, "Come on, Mr. Grant. I'm from Grenada, and I normally does Facebook Live on the issues that are affecting us as people in Grenada." Yeah, I've seen. I haven't met you, but I've seen. I think. As recently as last night or a couple of nights ago, I did see one of your things. Ryan says here, PTSD means post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah, I know that. But what does this have to do with do your thing? PTSD, I'm not sure. Ernesto says, I heard Garaway is back in the news. Somebody out there is using my name. GG, let's go, baby. Yeah, folk, there's a lot of that going on, eh? A lot of that going on. There are people there who are stealing people's IDs and showing up on WhatsApp. They're showing up on Facebook, all over the place. Yeah, these are lonely people who they're looking for a little attention. Ryan is saying hurricane stress. Ah, yeah. I hope we don't have any stress. Folks, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I'm not one who's going to run around saying God is a Grenadian and nothing going to happen to we. I'm not going to do that. But let's be realistic. The system is nowhere near the intensity that Hurricane Janet or Hurricane Ivan were. This thing just turned a tropical storm overnight. And yes, there is a chance for further development. But yeah, wait until it happens before you panic. No need to panic. No need to panic. Put yourself in God's hands. Sonia McKee John says, yes. In my inbox, crazy. Yes, Sonia. Sad for these people. You know, while you guys are praying about the hurricane, pray for these idle people who have nothing to do but steal. They will even steal your name. Your name. Kind of sad. Okay. All right, folks. Break time this time.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grandans, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
All right, we're back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this week's edition of The Buzz, right? Yeah. And, you know, even though I have told my guests that they shouldn't bother coming in this morning, at least the folks who were coming to talk about the death, we may be able to get Cecelia James on. I don't want to ask people to come out in this weather. Cecelia is in the United States, so she's not in any danger, but I don't want to ask people to come out here under these circumstances, okay? So we'll see what happens. Mosquito Man says, I think it's time that I pay you a visit. Absolutely, Mosquito Man. Like I said a little while ago, love to meet you. Really would love to meet you one of these days. Give me a ding and we can set something up. Ryan says, but we could have flooding, landslides, etc. Yeah, and boy, you know, this morning, as I always do, I spent some time on the balcony out there looking out that, you know, we have a beautiful view of the Carenage and the outer harbor. And I noticed two things about the water. First of all, the water was lumpy. No waves or anything, but it was lumpy, if you know what I mean. Huh? Which says it's somewhat unsettled. And there's somebody else. That's Cecelia James, and she's in New York. Not New York, she's somewhere in the States. We'll talk to her in just a wee bit. And I also noticed a discoloration in the water. And I'm assuming, you know that river near River Road? I'm assuming that's a result of the water being dumped into the sea. So you can expect to see that anywhere near to any of the outlets on this island, because yes, there's a lot of rain out there. Okay, who else is there? John Nosy says, I just checked out your other GG. I'm assuming he means my other page. And he is a Scientology fundraiser. Uh-huh. John, you know, these folks think they can hide forever, but their day is coming. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Carol James says, that's the world we are living in now. So sad. Ryan says, and the currents and the seawater. Yeah. Okay. Folks, we skipped this morning's opening scripture. But since we got a little time on our hands, I'm going to get to Carol in just a wee bit. Not Carol, Cecelia. Let's hear what this morning's opening scripture was. Psalm 37. Oh, one of my favorites. Psalm 37, 18 to 27. The blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster, they will not wither. In days of famine, they will enjoy plenty. But the wicked will perish. Yeah. Though the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field, they will be consumed. They will go up in smoke. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. Those the Lord blesses will inherit the land, but those he curses will be destroyed. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. I was young, and now I'm old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or their children begging bread. They are always generous and lend freely. Their children will be a blessing. Turn from evil, hackers, and do good. Then you will dwell in the land forever. That reading, Psalm 37, 18 to 27. Let me see here. Kaylin, it's Kaylin or Kalan Simon is tuned in from a cloudy London. Sherry Wilson says, sorry I'm late. I don't know the topic. Bob Marishow is reminding me of that river I was talking about. Yep, thanks a lot, Bob. That slipped my name, the St. John's River. That's why you're seeing that silt in the water down there this morning. Chester Simon is saying good morning. Sherry Wilson is also there. Good morning to you, Sherry. Bernard Gilbert. And Bob Marishow says, sorry to be late. I had to run back home to get my pencil. Funny. Let's see here. Ryan says, Gigi, would there be yearly MOT, motor ordnance testing to secure the safety and roadworthiness of all of Grenada motor vehicles? I don't know. Listen, there are a lot of laws out there. There are a lot of laws. Whether or not they're enforced, that's the story. That's the story. By the way, I'm also going to sneak something in this morning about that accident that took place down on the Carenage. I think it was on Friday morning. Yeah, Friday. It happened while I was on the air here doing Good Day Grenada. But I did get down a little later on, and I'm going to share some of that stuff with you. Anthony Park says, today is the anniversary of Hurricane Janet, 64 years ago. Absolutely, man. Nobody's going to forget that. Guarantee you that. Okay. Nikita James Young says, the airport closed. I guess you heard that the airport is closed. Well, that's not unusual under these circumstances, even though the system hasn't actually started pounding us yet, but that's normal. Ryan says, evil is Satan's work, and we must put Satan behind us. Don't even pay him attention. Not worth it. That's what they're looking for, attention. Bev Nelson saying, hi, good morning. Well, hi to you too, Bev. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Yeah. Now, there was something submitted to me last night by Little Angel. Little Angel sent me her weekly contribution, and I'm going to share that with you now. It is captioned, Failure to Clear the Air on Press Freedom. Senator Simon Steil could never be serious about the written content which was offered as a response to the Farrier and Garraway matter. Mr. Steil is either blatantly unaccepting of the facts, and it appears that his primary objective is to make the government look good. Instead, the writing has inflamed the situation, which further demonstrated incompetence of the current administration and was another indication of the mindset and modus operandi of those who are in charge. Both the government and Senator Steil must have much to do in order to convince any right-thinking Grenadian that there is press freedom in Grenada and that the current leaders are committed to it. As a matter of fact, there is no evidence to show, nor is there a word or sentence written in the communication to demonstrate government support for press freedom in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The written content referred to, would you please be quiet? Thank you. Please be quiet. Okay. The written content referred to government's policy on media freedom being long and consistent, but did not disclose what was long and consistent about it. If you ask local Grenadians, they will tell you that for quite some time, self-censorship has been common practice in Grenada. The media is very selective in broadcasting and printing certain stories, and Grenadians are afraid to speak, discuss, and share opinions on matters that affect them negatively. Stating that the government is clear on people's rights and press freedom is not a commitment towards those rights. And the records are there to show that the actions of the government are a far cry from respecting people's rights. Harping on about constitutional review and proposal for Freedom of Information Act is a cheap way of attempting to show respect for press freedom in Grenada. Renewing an invitation for a draft Freedom of Information Act and media rights policy is a gimmick which will achieve no meaningful results. The writer of the response knows this more than anyone else. Boasting about not having an official state-owned media company is a folly while making efforts to demonstrate support for press freedom. Proclaiming that the media in Grenada must and should continue to operate under the absolute freedom that the law allows does not mean that this was the case in the past, and it seems that the present government has no interest in making it a reality. Claiming to understand openness and scrutiny does not mean that scrutiny has been accepted and openness practiced and encouraged by the government. Indicating that journalists have more access, indicating that the government indicating that journalists have more access to government officials in the midst of attempting to dismiss such an accusation is a contradiction. For the benefit of people and country, Mr. Steil could have been wiser in offering a solution to the management challenge, which he identified as facing post-cabinet press briefings. In conclusion, the statement by Senator Simon Steil failed miserably to address any of the matters that are of critical importance to media freedom in Grenada. It is absolutely clear that there is no intention for the media to be free in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Okay, folks, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a little break. Just before I do, okay, Samantha McFarland saying good morning to you guys. Ernesto Jose says, Tropical Storm Karen, 40 miles an hour, moving northwest. That's according to the Weather Channel, saying that Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago are under tropical storm watch. Actually, it's a tropical storm warning, sir. Benedict Cador says, there just might be another George Grant out there, maybe a few. Let's make sure it's a hack first before we judge. You know, Benedict, that's an absolute possibility. But when you sit in this chair and go through what I have been through in recent weeks and months, you know a little bit better. And listen, we have our spies as well. Got it? John Nosyneck says Simon Steil is doing his own spin. Rigno Esprit is saying stay safe, stay safe. And Rigno is watching from London. Folks, break time.
Good morning. Grenlek meter reader.
Morning, Mr. Meterman. I'm glad I caught you. Last month, I got a very high bill, and I don't understand why.
Last month, we were not able to access your meter, so we had to estimate the bill. This will happen if we don't get an actual reading.
So, what can I do to ensure that my meter is easily accessible?
Well, you can get your licensed electrician to move your meter outside of the gate or directly in front of the house. That way, I'll have easy access and I won't have to deal with your dog.
Ah, Butch.
Yes, dogs can be a problem sometimes. On one occasion, I was attacked by a dog and police had to get involved. Customers who don't want to cage or tie their dogs should really move their meter and make it easily accessible.
Well, I'll consider that.
Thank you.
Grenlek, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, right now, I think it's time to say good morning for a very brief visit because of everything that's been happening here this morning. Cecelia James. Cecelia, settle down, Cecelia. Settle down, please. Good morning, Cecelia. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Grant. I'm doing well, thank you. Have a little background noise. Are you hearing me clearly?
I'm hearing you good enough. You hearing me okay? No, she's not. Hello, Cecelia?
Are you hearing me clearly now?
I'm hearing you clearly enough to carry on a conversation.
Yeah, I'm hearing some background noise.
You're hearing some background noise. I wonder what that background noise is.
And echoing. So maybe I need to move.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing some echoing. Okay, I'm going to sign back in.
Okay, Cecelia, I'll tell you what. I'm not at all surprised that things are going to be haywire today.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlek's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlek at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlek.com.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put me food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates,
Anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment.
Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Alrighty, folks, we're going to give it one more shot. Cecelia, good morning. Are you hearing me?
Still echo. I'm hearing, but still hear the echo.
Okay. Cecelia, I guess you're very much aware that we have a storm on our hands, and things are sort of makeshift here to provide a coverage for it this morning. So very quickly, I want us to do this as quickly as possible. Tell me a little bit about you and what you're trying to do on behalf of the hearing impaired in this country.
Could you repeat, please?
I said, Cecelia, that we're only going to be able to spend a couple of minutes together because of everything that's happening here this morning with the storm and all of that. Plus, now it seems like we're having difficulty in the link. Could you very quickly tell us a little bit about you and what you're trying to do to help the hearing impaired in this country?
Okay. So hi, I'm Cecelia Yvonne James. I'm better known as Yvonne among my peers. I initially found out that I was single-sided deaf and hard of hearing when I migrated to the U.S. after graduating from St. Joseph Convent, St. George's. So I grew up not knowing that I was single-sided deaf or hard of hearing in my other ear. However, I always spoke with a lip. So when I migrated to the U.S., I encouraged my parents to take me to an audiologist, and that's when I found that I was deaf in one ear and hard of hearing in the other. After some challenges, I decided I wanted to do something for the children in Grenada in terms of making hearing health accessible for children and adults as well, but primarily children so they can perform better in school and they are able to get free hearing aids. So I partnered with Starkey Hearing Foundation, an organization based in Minnesota that normally traveled around the world and give the gift of hearing to people all over the world. We are partnering with the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, to make this possible. Starting October, it's going to be a one-day mission, and it's going to be every year after this for a number of years. A part of the program is we're not only going to test for hearing loss, we're also going to give free hearing aids on lifetime batteries. And the Starkey Hearing Foundation is also going to train nurses and teachers who were selected from the Ministry of Health and Education. So they're going to be trained so that they will be able to be on the ground to continue this work in Grenada, Carriacou, and PITT Martinique. I also want to let everyone know this program is run with support from the community in terms of donation, in-kind donation. And I'm glad to let everyone know that companies like Blue Horizon, Mr. Arnold Hub was very, very supportive. The Trade Center, Mr. Vito was very, very supportive of giving us concession prices. We hope to partner with the Grenada Rotary Club. Ms. Dania Tasty Food has been very, very accommodating and brought her prices down to accommodate the team from the U.S. They are flying in about 35 people in the island to operate the program. And we encourage parents, we encourage everyone who thinks they have a hearing loss to please make an appointment to the School for the Deaf. They do screening on Fridays, so they will be able to attend the big mission in October to get further testing and free hearing aids.
Okay. Cecelia, when next do you expect to be in Grenada?
Pardon me?
When next do you expect to be in Grenada?
Probably the first week in October.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to extend an invitation to you, and you were supposed to have two other people here with you this morning. Michelle Brathwaite, who is the principal of the School for the Deaf, and Arshel English, who is a speech pathologist. They were hoping to be with you this morning, but because of the weather, we had to call that off. Would you promise me that when you get here, we can have a chat in person?
I did not hear that clearly with a lot of echoing background.
Okay, Cecelia, I'll just leave it there. Let's just say that when you get to Grenada, please come and see me. We would love to hear your story in a little more detail. How about that?
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Nice talking with you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Okay. That was Cecelia James talking to us from the United States, and terribly sorry about that, but when she does get in here, when she does come down to Grenada in person, we're going to have a much better chat. There's an old saying that, you know, if anything can go wrong, it will. And well, yeah, we're having our challenges. Tessa Barry says, reports from CNC3 indicates that Scotiabank in Scarborough, Tobago is flooded. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, not at all surprised. All right, folks. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a little break here. Remember, we're improvising here this morning, okay, because of the weather system and all that. But we will not be daunted. We're going to keep on plugging away. So what I'm going to do right now is take another little break, and then I will try to bring you the two editorials, the Grenada Advocate and the New Today. All right? So, after this.
We are honored to partner with the Grenada Schools, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and the Caliste Government School in providing this library. GCPI program put $120,000 or 66% of the cost of the library. But it's not an investment that is intended to bring a financial return. It is an investment in the human capital of our youth in Grenada.
Grenlec has shown us their seriousness about partnership, their seriousness about education, and their seriousness about nation building. That local partnership tells our major donors that Grenada is interested.
We have got a big vision at Grenada Schools. We believe that what we can do is, through literacy, have the most literate country in the Caribbean. We are very happy that you've got this gift from ourselves and from Grenlec
We see this library as a unique and valuable resource. One of the best things about receiving this library is that it honors and recognizes the efforts and contributions of a company like Grenlec and Grenada Schools Incorporated.
Since 1994, Grenlec shareholders have invested over $22 million. This has been invested in the communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We hope this library will serve the students and school well for many years to come.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's. Quality service. Affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Quad Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
All right. Okay, folks, before I get to the editorials, I have just received a WhatsApp here that I want to share with you guys. This came in from Mr. George Worm. He says, I'm at the National Disaster Management Authority emergency meeting underway at the moment. Please take note of the following. Maurice Bishop International Airport is shutting down operations at 9 o'clock. Well, that happened a little over an hour ago. The St. George's Port is already closed. Health services are securing vaccines and preparing facilities. Social Development Ministry management team, is currently at the ministry securing documents. NAWASA, some of their main plants have already been affected in some ways and have already been shut down. Oops. Other plants will be closed about 2 hours before impact. Coordinates 11.9 north, 60.9 west, or south of Grenada, which is not good. 3 to 6 inches of rainfall expected and can go up to 8 inches. Lots of rain. Landslides and flooding are associated with this amount of rainfall. The bulk of the rainfall is expected from mid-morning this morning into the early afternoon and tomorrow. Grenada is in the direct path of the storm. Winds are expected to be between 25 and 40 miles an hour, with modulation in both directions. All models show intense rainfall and strong winds, which will be sustained at times. The rainfall is what is most concerning to the Met Office. Lots of precipitation is expected, and the storm force winds extend out 125 miles from the center. You know what that means? Like, let's assume for all intents and purposes that the eye of this thing was over, say, Trinidad. Carriacou could be getting storm force winds. Okay. It is being recommended that schools be put on standby for tomorrow and possibly remain closed. All right. Okay, yeah. And also have a lot of pictures here of, not pictures, but videos of what's been happening in Tobago. Seems like they took it. They got it. Now, Pilgrims, again, as we continue improvising this morning, here comes the editorial, and we're gonna drop the Advocate this morning. Let's just do the New Today this morning. It is captioned, GBN should come clean. It is with great regret that the New Today is forced to address the Grenada Broadcasting Network and its most unfortunate attempt to kill the incident at last Tuesday's post-cabinet press conference between the Minister of State for Information, Senator Winston Garraway, and independent freelance journalist Callistra Faria. This newspaper is not in the business of taking to task other sections of the media, but the issue on hand is very fundamental since it touches on press freedom and censorship, whether deliberate, overtly, or covertly. GBN owes an explanation to the nation on why it did not carry the story when two of its own reporters were in attendance at the press briefing and witnessed the event firsthand. The fact of the matter is, the New Today's George Worm was interviewed by GBN on the Garraway-Faria encounter one day after it happened, and nothing was even carried by the network from the interview that was given. Why, GBN? It is true that the government of Grenada is a shareholder in GBN, but is a minority one at that, since the One Caribbean Media Limited, OCM, is the majority shareholder and the one calling the shots at the network, which often boasts of being the nation's premier media institution for news. The current behavior of GBN must be put into the context of what has been happening at the network since the back-to-back 15-0 victory at the polls by the Keith Mitchell New National Party in the 2013 and 2018 general elections to run the country's affairs. The network moved like a swift thief in the night to give the axe to veteran journalist Lou Smith, who used to host the very popular Beyond the Headlines radio and TV program, and to put in his place as the new face a female government senator, Katisha Williams, to run an independent program. Laughable. There was a loud outcry both inside and outside of the country against this decision by GBN, which in the end did not fall on deaf ears. Today, Ms. Williams has disappeared and is no longer seen on the premier program as its host. Who took the decision to pull the plug on the female senator, who was also an attorney at law? The new today is fast forwarding to September 2019, and what appears to be a deliberate decision taken by GBN to hide away from the public the tape recording of what really happened between Senator Garraway and the female reporter. Did a call come from the Botanical Gardens to give instructions to GBN on how to treat the story? 40 years ago, calls came from the same Botanical Gardens from then Prime Minister Eric Gairy to instruct the forerunner of GBN, Radio Grenada, on what should or should not be in the news. Are we on a similar course in trampling press freedom and seeking to curtail the independent press? This was one of the seeds that germinated and helped to create the conditions for arms and ammunition to be used by the New Jewel movement of Maurice Bishop to overthrow Gary's Grenada United Labour Party government on March 13, 1979. The current Prime Minister was a member of the NJM until he left Grenada in questionable circumstances following the Grenada Shipping Agency affair, and in the early 80s was one in the forefront of the struggle outside the country against the same NJM and Grenada Revolution over its curtailment of press freedom and human rights abuses, including detention of persons without charge or trial in a law court. Is Dr. Mitchell and his NNP doing the same thing that Maurice Bishop and Bernard Cour did against the free press in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique? There has not been a single word from the substantial Minister of Information, who was Prime Minister Mitchell, on the Garraway-Farrier incident, which has gone viral on social media platforms and is painting a particularly bad image of the country to the outside world. The current situation should also force the president of the Media Workers Association of Grenada, Sherry Ann Noel, to reassess her own position to continue to lead the media in Grenada. Ms. Noel was at the post-cabinet press briefing and witnessed the entire episode, and is also just as silent on it as GBN. Why? The current situation with the media in Grenada calls for true and genuine leadership, and Ms. Noel should be honest with herself and seriously question whether she is capable of performing that task and role as MWAG's president, given her background as one of the mouthpieces of the current regime. The New Today would like to see her step aside from the position and never to return at any time in the foreseeable future to any leadership position in the organization. Ms. Noel has provided no serious leadership to MWAG in her stints as head of the organization, which is now seen as a floor mat for the powers that be to walk all over and to kick about whenever it becomes necessary. The MWAG president cannot take any firm stand in a battle between the media workers of the country and the Mitchell government, given her own known past, ties, and commitment to the current regime in office. It is time for the association to look elsewhere for genuine leadership if it wants to gain the respect of members of the profession and to play a meaningful role in the development of persons who want to pursue journalism as a career. That, Pilgrims, that is the editorial which appeared in this past Friday's edition of the New Today. Let me get back here. Kipling Francis on social media. Kipling says, "Now I'm sure everyone is putting God first, which is great. But for how long?" Yeah, a lot of people are praying this morning because of Karen. John says, oh, by the way, Charmaine Batiste says amen. John says GBM. It's not GBM, it's GBN, John. John says GBM is equal to Grenada being manipulated. He also says tactics used by spin doctors, playing a dead bat. This refers to not responding to a media inquiry or giving a minimal response in an effort to kill the story. Ernesto says Minister Steil was on GBN To the Point program on Wednesday, and not one question from the host concerning the incident with the senator, in which I tried to ask but was pushed aside. All right, folks, well, I'll tell you, what a morning. This is a topsy-turvy morning if I ever had one. But I think things are going to pick up from here, because I have two guests who, they're not joining us by Zoom. These folks are actually in here, in the flesh. You can pinch them if you want, all right? And they are here to talk about Reiki. How many times have you heard Sharon Roberts on Good Day Grenada talking about Reiki, 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 Reiki? Yeah. This morning we're going to talk about Reiki. And we'll get to that.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at Food Fair.
Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Alrighty, folks, take a look at these two handsome devils sitting down there. These guys braved the weather to come out here and talk with you guys this morning. I don't believe it. On your left is Dr. and Professor Winthrop Wiltshire. He's a Reiki master. And sitting on his left is Mr. Kennedy Roberts, who's a public health educator at St. George's University. How you guys doing?
Here with you and to be chatting with your guests, your audience about an important topic, Reiki.
Yes,
yes,
indeed. I understand you guys are getting ready for a convention or a conference, whatever.
Gathering.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute, man. But what's it like outside there? Is it raining?
No, not yet, not yet.
Did you see what's been going on in Tobago?
Yeah, I saw the pictures on your
Yeah. They're having a tough time down there in Tobago.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and it's headed this way. I saw a little note just a few minutes ago on my forum that it's headed directly to Grenada.
And of course, the northern part will get it a little more because it's shifting.
Well, this thing is coming up from the south, actually.
Well, they said it was 11.9 degrees north a while ago. So.
And that while ago was about 9 o'clock, I think. Huh?
Yeah, I think it was 8 or 9.
Okay, let me...
But the bottom line is that it's coming in our direction and we should, be prepared. In coming down here, I was passing the St. Paul's Road and by Andel is so congested I had to turn back and swing back through Mangpanasas to get here. So I know by Andel's in Parade, it's chaotic.
Well, Real Value already closed. Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Winthrop, you're a professor. I mean, the human logic I sometimes fail to understand. These people have known since last year that there was a hurricane season coming this year, right? And everybody waits until storm gets out there, it's poking up your nose, and then everybody says, well, I need matches, I need batteries.
I need 2 candles.
I need 2 candles. Huh? It's human nature, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyhow, the comforting thing, if you can call it that, is that this system really doesn't seem to be what a lot of people think about when they think storm.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying let your guard down.
No, not at all. But we have to be constantly prepared, especially at this period in the year. But things changing so much with the climate that we have to be prepared all year round now for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And did you hear this morning that there's another system that came off the coast of Africa?
Yeah. But that seems further north.
Seems further north, but I don't buy that until they get real close, because I have seen storms hang a left as they come across the Atlantic. But this one is absolutely sure, man. They say a 90% chance it's going to turn into a storm maybe later on today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. All right. So who is going to explain to me? I'm a novice here. Who is going to explain to me what is Reiki?
A good question. Reiki.
The Reiki master.
Reiki is a natural, hands-on healing technique that anybody can learn in a few days, and it can work by itself or together with Western medicine. It is used by individuals, by medical doctors in hospitals. But the beautiful thing about Reiki is its simplicity. All I have to do as a Reiki practitioner, if Kennedy has an issue, is to put my hand on him like this. And the Reiki energy flows automatically.
So you're transferring energy?
Well, every Reiki practitioner is a conduit for the healing, balancing energy that is all around us. And it works on individuals, it works on animals, it works on trees, anything that has an energy field.
Okay.
But George, it also has another dimension to it. Reiki is one of these modalities that focus on the balancing of the mind, body, and soul. It is one of these Eastern modalities, if you call it that. In India, the most prevalent mode of healthcare is what they call Ayurvedic medicine.
Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic, Ayurvedic medicine. And it focuses on balancing the mind, body, and soul. So that is why in India, yoga is an integral part of their whole lifestyle. So Reiki is that balancing energy that, in addition to the hands-on tapping of that universal energy for healing, there are certain precepts that we advocate for daily living. And we focus on the now, just for today. Because we are aware that things might have happened in the past that we can't change. And we don't know if we'll be here tomorrow. So we have to focus on making the now the best possible now you can make it. So we have 5 precepts that we advocate that people live their life by on a daily basis. Not being angry. Because when you get angry, it means that somebody else has touched a nerve in you that you should be able to control. So anger is a negative energy that doesn't help. So if you try just for today not being angry, it can transform into 2 days, a week, a month. The second one, not to worry. Because when you worry, it's like you're losing touch with your spirituality. Sometimes an activity, an event in your life might seem real horrible. But that might be God's way of giving you a blessing for something else to come up. The third one, having mutual respect for your elders and everything around you, whether it's the trees or the animals, but living in an atmosphere of mutual respect. The fourth one, just for today, do your best. Do an honest day's work. Do things in a meaningful way that would benefit others and yourself. Mm-hmm. And finally, appreciate your blessings. Because a lot of us look at what we want to work towards and we lose sight of what we have.
That's a mouthful, Kennedy.
Yeah. So those 5 precepts go hand in hand with the hands-on healing. So it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a daily practice. So in that way, you strike that balance between mind, body, and soul, and you try to live with that God-centered approach.
Essentially, what you're talking about is mind over matter.
Not really. Absolutely not, actually. Because when you get a Reiki treatment, you don't have to believe in it. It has nothing to do with the mind. What Kendi was talking about is the whole being, mind, body, and soul. And when he spoke about just for today, the importance of the now, life is a series of continuous now moments. All we ever have is the present moment. So when you say, when in the present moment you focus on the now, you are focusing on your entire life, if you do that all the time. But the important thing about Reiki is to recognize that there's this healing energy. We are energy entities. When we go out of balance, we manifest disease. And the Reiki accelerates your ability to come back into balance. And as I said, it works by itself, and it works on anything. Doesn't matter if it's cancer, if it's a headache, if it's, all in balance.
And more research is being done to document the positive benefits of Reiki. Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York is the leading hospital that works with Reiki. They have Reiki practitioners working within the hospital and documenting that those who receive Reiki before and after surgery are recuperating faster than those who are not doing Reiki. So there's more evidence, because in the US especially, evidence-based medicine has become the norm. And any modality that wants acceptance has to do research and document. So Reiki has become, if I should say, westernized since around the Second World War. When the leader of the Reiki fraternity moved to Hawaii after Japan got involved in the Second World War and so on. And over the decades, they have become more accepted. So in 1994, 1995, there was a Canadian Reiki master who came through the region, and both Winthrop and I were her students. So I was in St. Lucia at the time, and she, Lena Moore, was able to I would say, introduce us to Reiki as Reiki practitioners. And when I came back to Grenada in the end of '97, Dr. Winthrop Wiltshire came up as a professor to do some work with us at St. George's University in 2002. And since then, he has now resided in Grenada, and he's trained over 100 Reiki practitioners in Grenada and another 100 plus throughout the rest of the Caribbean.
100 plus? Hundreds.
Hundreds. So Dr. Wiltshire is undoubtedly the Reiki master who has done a lot of the training. And now his wife, my sister Sharon, is a Reiki master, and I'm working towards that.
You know, I want you guys to explain something a little further to me. Winthrop, you were saying a little while ago that you administer Reiki by placing your hands, let's call the person a patient.
A client, we say client.
Okay, client, okay. Placing your hands on the client. So I'm assuming that some sort of, quote, energy transfer takes place?
Yes.
Okay. How does the person administering the Reiki know that he has that energy to
A good question. That person first comes to a class. The class lasts a weekend, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday half day, and they get attuned. A Reiki master has the ability to initiate anyone into this, what we call Reiki, to attune this person. You get 4 attunements, each lasting for about 2-3 minutes. And then that person becomes a conduit, a channel for the healing, balancing energy that is all around us. And when that person puts his hands on someone else, or himself or herself, the energy is automatically transmitted. What is important to recognize is that the practitioner has no control about the outcome. We sometimes call this divine energy, universal energy. Reiki actually means universal life energy in Japanese.
Okay.
So each subsystem, as I said, we are energy systems. Each cell is vibrating at its own normal or equilibrium frequency when we're in balance. And when we go out of balance, the frequency of vibration of whatever organ is in trouble, goes out of whack. And the Reiki goes in to restore energetic balance. You might have known of Einstein's equation, E equals h nu, where h is Planck's constant and E is energy and nu is frequency. Everything related to energy has to do with frequency of vibration. So when your frequency of vibration is out of whack, some people talk about the chakras. We in Reiki don't often focus on the chakras, but the chakras, of course, are involved. The chakra is the spinning energy vortex, several chakras relating to the endocrine system in your body. And when they go out of balance, you manifest disease. And so many people choose to go only with a complementary modality, or sometimes they mix a complementary modality such as Reiki with Western medicine, or they choose to do Western medicine alone. The Mrs. Phyllis Furumoto, who was a lineage bearer until she passed away in March of this year, 10 years ago, she developed a bad case of cancer, and she decided to use Reiki and complementary medicine and Western medicine as well, radiotherapy, etc., chemotherapy. And she lasted 10 years.
Okay.
You see, and Winthrop mentioned the chakras, and again, in Chinese medicine, it's well documented, your endocrine system, all your functioning of the different organs are linked with the chakras. So from the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the reproductive organs, and the coccyx are the 7 chakras that have these energy centers. And it is well documented in Chinese medicine, and when they do acupuncture, they find the nerve endings that are also linked to the different organs in your body. So Western and Eastern medicine are dovetailing and are being used in complementary fashions, because as you asked earlier on about your mind, I think your mind has a lot to do with how you manage your emotions. So for example, if we go to focus on negative things that stress us out, of course our mind is going to pull us down and make us worse. But your mind also has the ability to think of the positive side of things. And even though the event might appear negative based on our traditional upbringing, we have to tell ourselves that there must be something better as a result of this. And there's always a silver lining. And that helps with you coping with your mental stresses and depression. So it really helps in a balanced way.
But let me ask you this. I mean, look, we live in a world today where the media has a hell of an influence on people. I mean, everybody in one shape or form is attached to the media. You're being influenced, if it's not by social media, it's by radio, by TV, newspapers, magazines, whatever, okay. And a lot of this stuff, I would say more stuff than not, is negative. It is negative. I mean, you're fighting a losing battle, Winty.
No, we're fighting a hard battle.
Well, I am a good person to ask about that, because my wife Sharon will tell you that I'm a news fiend in terms of international news. I look at a lot of news, CNN, BBC, Sky, and I am able to look at it objectively, taking what I want to take in, and not be influenced negatively by any stuff that's going on.
But isn't the effect subliminal? I mean,
yes.
You see something bad on CNN, you don't have to jump up and say, "Oh, that's bad." Blah, blah, blah. No, but it has an effect on you.
To some extent, but you are primarily in control of your being. Especially if you're functioning at a certain level, anyway.
Right. You see, and then you have to start to compartmentalize and determine what proportion of your thinking is going to be focused on the negative things you saw. Because it's real, as you say, it's in your subliminal. But then your current thought, your now thoughts, they have a lot of other beautiful things you can think about. You know, so while the negatives are out there and it can influence you, I think we have the ability to determine how much that influence is going to be based on what we focus on.
You don't have to be a sponge.
Okay, granted you don't have to be a sponge, but why is it then that human nature tends to gravitate to the negative? I mean, look.
It's a learning process, it's education, it's communication, it's a combination of factors. And again, I like to bring health into the whole package, because it's physical, social, mental well-being. This is what we want to strive towards. And Reiki helps in that, and especially with the mental well-being. I think that is the area that I use it for the most. We've had a lot of examples of the physical healing. You know, I've had stories as Reiki practitioner where I place my hands on a cut, a bleeding, huge cut, and by the 15 minutes it stopped bleeding, and the hospital wonder what actually happened. You know, I've had stories of seeing people experience the healing part of it, but the stress the mental part, I think that's how I use Reiki personally a lot more, to help me with that part.
All right. Winthrop, I want you to give me one or two examples of some incredible healings that will always remain with you. I mean, you're no spring chicken. I saw a video of you in England dancing on a table. Yeah, I'm going to keep reminding people about that. And this guy is, I'm not ashamed to say it, he is much older than I am.
Some dramatic, one very dramatic one actually was with my wife Sharon. I am driving. She's driving. I'm in the passenger seat, and a doctor calls her and says, oncologist, I'm so sorry, I have to postpone the operation. My wife got an accident in Florida, and I have to go over there for about 10 days. When I come back, we will reschedule the operation. Because she had been, they'd done the biopsy, they'd done the ultrasound, and they found she had breast cancer. And she says, take them off. I and others applied Reiki. I applied it hands-on, and others applied it from afar, from England, Germany, France, because when you do Reiki at a certain level, you can do it by distance, without the use of any instruments. And to cut a long story short, well, let me not cut it that short. You know, I'm a cricket aficionado.
No kidding.
So West Indies is playing India in India, and it's midnight. The match is starting. And I put down the Reiki table, which looks just like a massage table, and I put my hand on Sharon's breast. For 2 hours, after about half an hour, my hands get very, very hot. And I said, something significant is happening here. Something very significant. So I was not at all surprised when the oncologist came back from the States and checked her. And she says, Doc, I'm not feeling the lumps anymore. He says, well, I don't want to operate if it's not necessary, you know, let's do it. And he says, no. He sent her back to do another biopsy, another ultrasound. She was clear. Cancer gone. He said, the doctor said, if I hadn't done it myself, I would say somebody made an error. He said, but I have a cold now. If I don't have a cold in 2 weeks' time, would you say I didn't have a cold now? That was my most dramatic case. If his wife had not had the accident in the States, she would have had no breast now. So she was saved by the wife's accident. That was Reiki. A simple thing, somebody in my class, this was last term, saying, Dr. Wiltshire, I have to leave, I have a bad headache. I said, no, just stay. And fortunately, I had a remote to show my slides. I went by her, put my hand on her head like this, 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, her headache disappeared. And the others in the class said, you're not saying it disappeared just to make Dr. Wiltshire feel good. She said, no, it's gone. It's gone.
You know, one year, we went to Panorama, and about 10 of us sit down on the bleachers, on the stands, taking in Panorama. And Vincent had a serious headache. You know, Vincent is one of the persons who, at times, don't believe in Reiki. He say, you know, he doesn't really well, I say he doesn't believe in Reiki, simplify it. So he had a headache. So I say, you want me to send some Reiki for you? He laughed. He said, you on this Reiki thing, you know. So I said, okay. And I decided to send him the Reiki energy. About 10 minutes later, he started to get involved in the discussion. And you know, about half an hour later, I asked him, I said, how the headache? And everybody started to laugh because everybody experienced it that half an hour ago he was talking about a splitting headache. And here he was now, he forgot he had a headache. You know, of course you would say that the steel band music might have induced, but that is as one of the options you have. But the bottom line is, I consciously sent him Reiki, and I'm sure, because I think Sharon was there too, and Nikki, and I think all of us sent him Reiki, and that in my opinion, contributed to the headache going.
So how do you do this Reiki remotely now? I mean, I could understand putting your hands on somebody and, you know, transferring the energy, but somebody across the Atlantic, come on, explain.
This is something that you'll have to find out when you do second-degree Reiki, my brother.
Second degree. How long does it take you to become a Reiki master?
Okay, first degree, 1 weekend. Second degree, a few months after, another weekend. To become a Reiki master, you have to apprentice with a Reiki master. So for instance, I went to England in '94, having done my second degree in Trinidad. And I met a woman called Penelope Jewell at that workshop that Phyllis was giving, Phyllis Furamoto. And when I went back to Trinidad, I wrote Penelope, who's from the United States. I said, it was nice meeting you. I'm sure I'll see much more of you. And some months later, I asked if she would train me to be a Reiki master, and she said yes. So she came to Trinidad. I organized classes for her. I sat in those classes. And I went to the States, upstate New York. And it took me January the 4th, January 7th to the 9th, I became a first-degree practitioner. In June, I became a second-degree practitioner with the ability to send Reiki and to do Reiki on situations for discernment. And in '96, 2 years later, August the 28th, she initiated me as a Reiki master. So it's a minimum of 1 year, sometimes 2 years, depending. And when you become a Reiki master, you are supposed to be functioning at a level of mastery in all areas of your life. Not, in other words, the Reiki mastery gives you precisely the ability to attune others into Reiki, to initiate others. But in addition to that, you're supposed to be able to dealt with your stuff and be able to function in a masterly fashion.
All right, there are so many questions I still have, but time is running against us this morning. So let me turn now to the conference you have coming up. I understand already you guys have more than double the people number of people you expected?
Well, Kennedy was optimistic. He immediately said he expects 50, and I said, no, I don't think so. I think we have about 30.
I feel we could go 80, 100.
So we have some 60 people registered.
Yeah.
And they're coming from several countries.
Yeah. But we also know there are a lot of Reiki practitioners in Grenada who have not registered for the entire conference.
About how many practitioners you have here?
I would say I've trained over 100, but some of them have been university students from the States and they've gone back.
Okay.
Yeah. I've trained 2 medical doctors here, and one of them has registered for the conference.
Is this practice as part of the regular medical routines here, like doctors?
One medical doctor here gave a very interesting story how he used it in his surgery, but it's not routinely practiced. One of my doctors, I trained many doctors in Jamaica, and one of them, I said, Alice, how do you deal with Reiki in your practice? She said, I give everybody Reiki, and all she has to do is to, when they come in, when she holds their hand, that is giving them a Reiki. Oh yes, the Reiki is
once you just make
the
any
Reiki is
contact.
the Reiki is flowing.
There's a saying, hands on, Reiki on.
Okay.
And there's a book by a trauma specialist, actually, emergency room physician, Reiki and medicine, and she talks about how when the trauma patients come in, and she just holds their hands and they get healed or their problem gets resolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the upcoming conference.
So, well, it's the 11th annual Reiki gathering. So this is the 11th year that we've been having gatherings throughout the Caribbean. It's the second time in Grenada. And it's the theme that every year we have a theme. And this year it's spiritual, emotional, and ancestral healing. It came out of the conference in Barbados last year where there was a high level of emotion and the spirit was really working in a strong way and that theme emerged. So it's from Thursday the 26th to Sunday the 29th, this weekend coming up here. And as Dr. Wiltshire said, it's we have over 60 persons registered so far, and it is possible that this week, if there are any Reiki practitioners out there who would like to register, there's still the possibility of registering to participate in the activities. You mightn't get the polo shirts because we ordered specific amounts and it ran out.
And you could come for one session or 2 sessions or the whole thing. There's a session.
It's open to the general public?
No, Reiki practitioners. And there's a session at Belmont Estate on Friday on healing a broken heart. I will be giving a session. I will be conducting a session on Saturday on emotional healing. That's one of my areas. Yeah. I happen to be a teacher in re-evaluation counseling, where I teach people to co-counsel to heal the residue of early pain that they got from long ago. I've been doing that for 25 years.
Okay.
We have another colleague who's doing something on ancestral healing. Nicoyan and I were doing a session in conjunction with a colleague from the US on Reiki and nature, trying to show how the Reiki energy is not just about humans, but the birds and the flowers and so we were doing a little research to go into a little deeper about the whole concept of Reiki and nature.
Talking about Reiki and nature, if you can do an experiment. If you're a Reiki practitioner, you can have 12 new plantlets and you treat 6 with Reiki. Just put your hands around them or put your hands around the water pot that you're going to water them, and don't treat the other 6. They're the controlled. You will see how these 6 that you treat with Reiki spring up. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, that's been done over and over again.
All right. 1 sentence each. Convince somebody watching you out there right now why you should get into Reiki.
Well, I would say do your little research. We can't tell you everything, but go online and Google it and search for it. Look for Colombian Presbyterian Hospital in New York as an example. Look for information out there and do the research yourself, because I can tell you something in a song bite, but it's up to you now to really go out there and research.
You have to want to do it.
Yeah, you have to want to do it. And Eastern, the Western traditions are coming hand in hand. The world is getting smaller through communications. So a lot of these Eastern practices that have been done for thousands of years, we have to be open-minded and embrace it. Okay. So I'm a Roman Catholic and I go to church and I believe in my God, I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in the Holy Spirit, but at the same time, I acknowledge that there are other belief systems in the world. And I am not going to say God is not going to like Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists because their belief system is different. I believe how we treat each other, that love and mutual respect has to be the bottom line.
Indeed.
I'd simply say Reiki is the best thing since sliced bread.
Why didn't that surprise me coming from you?
Well, you wanted a soundbite. You know what?
Boy, did I get a soundbite. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Right.
All right, Dr. Winthrop Wiltshire, who is a professor of chemistry down at the SGU. And Mr. Kennedy Roberts, who's also a public health educator, also at SGU. Thanks a lot. Best of luck, folks, with your conference coming up this week.
Thank you.
All right. Now, folks, I'll tell you what. Everything has just gone off helter-skelter this morning. But we're gonna make it. I want to show you. I know a lot of you are curious about the incident which happened a couple of days ago down on the Carnage, where a minibus, ran off the road and into the Carnage, the waters of the Carnage. I'm going to begin by showing you the actual incident, all right? Apparently the bus had left the bus terminal. It was number 2 bus coming down Young Street. Guy discovers brakes ain't working. Now, you're coming down Young Street. More likely than not, you'd be turning off to the left onto Scott Street, Well, he decided to stay to his right, which is right alongside Courts and Hubbard's. Take a look at this video. It's about 23 seconds long, and you actually see what happened. Okay? This is from, there he goes, there he goes. Okay, people running now to offer some assistance. And I'm going to show you that again in just a wee bit. But as you can well imagine, there's a lot of commotion in Grenada when something like that happens, right? And let's just take a look at some of that commotion. Everybody's rushing to the scene. There's the bus in the water. See the divers. Apparently there were some divers from Bay Martinique. I'm assuming that they're on fishing boats
He's on the wall and then he put us the bus just flipped around.
So much worse. So much There they are standing on top of the Here's rescue from that ordeal. Okay. All right, now one more video I want to show you, and this is where, when I got down there, I had a chat with Ray Roberts. I bumped into Ray Roberts at the scene, and here's how that went.
What I understand is the bus that we see there.
That's a number 2 bus, right?
Yeah, it applies to Woburn, Woodlands, Woburn. Apparently, coming down Young Street, discovered no brakes and landed in the sea. Here? I would estimate about 10 feet of water. Between 8 and 10 feet of water. You understand, one woman had died, but it wasn't clear whether she may have drowned or whether the way she was sitting may have broken her neck from the impact. But that's left to be determined. A number of other people were rescued, I understand, by 2 divers from PITT Martinique, and they have since been taken to hospital.
Here's another shot, this time from a different angle. We're looking at the left side of the bus, the passenger side. As you can probably see, they're both his front tire and rear tire are flat. In addition to what Lou mentioned a little while ago, that his left, or his right, front tire was as smooth as glass. Folks, there was one fatality in that incident. A 65-year-old lady, she lost her life. I'm hearing conflicting reports as to the number of people who were taken to hospital. I'll tell you, I spent most of Friday afternoon making phone calls to the hospital trying to get numbers. I even spoke to the hospital administrator. She didn't know. She referred me to a doctor, left voicemail for that doctor, hasn't returned call. They put me through to emergency and everybody else I could talk to. No information coming from the general hospital. I understand even the police were having a tough time getting the numbers confirmed. They told me they heard anywhere from 13 to 16 people had been taken into the hospital, but they weren't able to confirm it. Yeah, another black eye for our hospital. Jeez, on and on it goes. All right, now, what else does Georgie Porgy have for you this morning? Yeah? Okay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Yeah, Margaret Francis. That ain't Max. Break time.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shopping at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
We are honored to partner with the Grenada Schools, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and the Caliste Government School in providing this library. GCPI program put $120,000 or 66% of the cost of the library. But it's not an investment that is intended to bring a financial return. It is an investment in the human capital of our youth in Grenada.
Grenlec has shown us their seriousness about partnership, their seriousness about education, and their seriousness about nation building. That local partnership tells our major donors that Grenada is interested.
We have got a big vision at Grenada Schools. We believe that what we can do is, through literacy, have the most literate country in the Caribbean. We are very happy that you got this gift from ourselves and from Grenlec.
We see this library as a unique and valuable resource. One of the best things about receiving this library is that it honors and recognizes the efforts and contributions of a company like Grenlec and Grenada Schools Incorporated.
Since 1994, Grenlec shareholders have invested over $22 million. This has been invested in the communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We hope this library will serve the students and school well for many years to come.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Alrighty, folks. Alrighty. I'll tell you what, right now, I'd like you to watch an excerpt from this past Friday's edition of a program we did called Good Day Grenada. Fridays, we have Mr. Brian PITT joining us, and yes, Brian did join us this past Friday, and not only entertaining, but also very informative. And I want you to watch as he takes on a few topics. He talks about the alleged abuse of the journalist here in Grenada. He talks about the pitfalls of social media, yeah? And the visit of the USNS Comfort. That's the hospital ship that was in town. So I want to share these with you. Let's take a listen.
George, there are three issues that I want to spend a little time on this morning.
Take it away.
One is the continued dialogue over this abuse of a journalist or / media worker. The other is the visit of the Comfort to Grenada.
All right.
Comfort the ship. And the third one is has to do with the Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee.
Okay.
Whose report I was just reading.
Yeah.
Let me start with this journalist issue, George. It seemed to have further polarized this country in that if I follow what I see on the internet, there were some videos making the round that suggested that in the last administration, there were similar type of abuses to journalists. Now, when I look at some of those videos, my takeaway, George, is that one, the reporters, the media people were asking questions. The response to the questions may have been questionable. Some people were very disturbed about the questions being asked. And I have a feeling that even back then, the NNP seemed to be in control of some journalists or some media workers. So they asked questions that were slighted in a certain direction. And George, I parallel that to what occurred recently. This reporter was not allowed to ask a question. So we moved from questions being asked and people responding whether in favor or not, to a stage where media workers are now not able to ask a question. And I said to myself, but hold on, the people who are promoting what happened in the past as an equivalent of what happens now, can't they see that the thing has gone downhill? Back then you could ask a question, right now you can't. Yes, George?
Yeah, Brian, you know,
and that is disturbing.
That is my concern, and more so than the allegations about the physical assault that took place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if young media workers, especially those who post those things on the social media, can't self-examine what they're doing and say, wait now, if that happened then, and now you can't ask a question, where are we going to be tomorrow?
Yeah.
And if I were those young people, it's their world, and they are creating a little monster here that they might live to regret.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell, George.
Yeah. And by the way, you know, I think you started your piece this morning by talking about the alleged abuse of a journalist, okay? I don't know if you watched this yesterday, but I was explaining to the audience yesterday morning that I had been speaking with a journalist who was not present at that post-cabinet briefing, but has some very close colleagues in the media whom she spoke to, several of them, and she said that they all denied that what was circulating on social media about this woman being pushed to the ground, all denied that it ever happened.
You see, George, and it brings me to this other point. Understanding human behavior is something that some of us try very hard to do. You can tell somebody's behavior by their mannerisms, by their physical appearance, or what they do and what they say. I won't be surprised if there is some attempt to understand human behavior that will allow people to self-censor themselves or what they say and what they do. We could be at that psychological part of this whole governance issue, George.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which is a dangerous place to be.
Yes, sir.
So if a young journalist recognized that they would not be allowed to carry a story in the future because they would truthfully give evidence that will say that this occurred, they may hold back,
Yep. Could be what's happening, I don't know.
And that is the danger, again, of where we are in this whole thing today, George.
Another danger, I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but the American ambassador to Barbados and the OECS was here. And the press secretary attempted to stop a question from being asked of her. And I thought, this person has to be an absolute nutcase. I could see that happening in the presence of, an ambassador for Japan or China or someplace. But to do something like that in the presence of the American ambassador, where freedom of speech is so dear to these people, that has to be the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of.
And you know what's so interesting about that, George? The American ambassador came here with that on her agenda, to talk about the sale of passports. So she was glad when a reporter raised that point so she can make her input. And I found that very amusing, George. We still don't understand how important press freedom is in some of us getting the message.
Brian, you and I may laugh at it, but let me tell you, it could have very, very serious consequences for Grenada. To do something like that in the presence of an American ambassador, you got to be bonkers.
Yes, of course. And I mean, some of the releases coming out of the Ministry of Information is laughable, to be quite honest with you. But I understand this matter is now in the hands of the police. So maybe a proper investigation would be done.
Well, haven't you heard that an investigation has already been done? Didn't you hear Senator Steil's statement?
Well, I credit Senator Steil with more gray matter than what I saw in that report. And if he is circumventing a police inquiry or investigation, he might have some questions to answer because he's attempting to influence the pool, whether that pool is a jury or that pool is a police force or that pool is a DPP. That's what he's doing, He's interfering with an ongoing investigation. And that in itself, if I'm not mistaken, George, could be considered a crime.
Well, Brian, the police have not come out and said anything about Cellgate. They've not said anything, not that they would have too much to say about the security detail. They have not come out and said anything about this particular incident. So, I mean, come on, what do you expect? What do you expect, Brian?
Well, George, let the matter take its natural course and see what happens. I am not going to speculate on what might happen. If this young lady has a good enough litigation lawyer, and there might be not that many in Grenada, I believe we might very well hear some more utterances as time goes by.
All right. I'll take your advice, sir, and I'll wait.
Yes, George, the ship, the Comfort, was here, or is here, attending to the medical needs of our people. And if the numbers are correct, and there were over 5,000 people seeking medical attention, George, I asked myself the question, what is the health of the country? What is the health of the country? And are people not going to see a doctor because they can't afford it? Are they not going to health clinics around the island because they're not there? Are they not using the emergency service for some other reason? Maybe they have to wait a long time. What is wrong with the health care that we are providing for our people? And that, to me, is a takeaway question about the number of people.
Stick a pin, Brian, because there's one question you've asked some very important ones. There's one I'm still waiting to hear you ask. Could it be that the people just don't trust or respect the level of health care we have?
Yes, that could be one of them, George, and another one could be affordability.
Yeah.
Times are hard, huh? And the sad thing about health, George, is that we, from time to time, do not know what is taking place in our bodies. We get up in the morning and we look in the mirror and we can see an outline, but we do not see inside. So when we believe we might be healthy, we might not be. And not only the cost of medical care, George, but the cost of getting tests done. Whether it's a scan or whether it's an x-ray, whatever it is, that is a major cost. So we can go to a doctor and find out that there's something wrong with us. And the doctor might very well recommend some tests that we cannot afford to take.
Yep.
And our health will deteriorate by the day. So I hope the people in the health department is taking note of the number of people. I know they will get a report from the Americans of what they did here. And that should be a teaching moment for our health in the country.
There are a couple of points I want to take up here with you on behalf of Margaret. First of all, Margaret is asking the question, what is wrong with health care in Grenada? Answer, it kills.
I don't want to make light of this, but because the health of the nation is a wealthy nation.
Yeah.
We have to look after the health of our people and find a way to do it.
Going back to Mr. Steil's statement, she says, Brian is quite right in his assessment. You just responded to Mr. Steil's statement. Well, Margaret, I think that's a blanket statement you're making because I know that you know better. There's something Mr. Steil said, and I brought this up on the program yesterday. There's something he said about, how accessible government officials are, or words to that effect. And let me tell you, you're going to have to chop my head off before you could convince me of that. And I think everybody who's been listening to my Sunday program for the last, 15 years, they know the hell that I have had getting information out of government ministers. So please.
Because George, you have been blacklisted. You see, you ask questions that they don't want to answer.
Well.
And that is the bottom line. If you ask them a question they don't want to answer, because for whatever reason they don't want to answer the question, maybe it might go towards the lack of good governance in the country. Then they will blacklist you.
Anthony de Rigg says, some who went to the Comfort medical ship might need to follow up. Hope they are able to do so.
Now, therein lies a major problem, because I know of one person, George, who went to the Comfort, and they have recommended a further test to be done on this particular person. I think it's whatever the test is. And I don't believe that person can afford to do the test.
Yeah.
So yes, there would be follow-up. And therein lies the test, I guess, for the healthcare system.
Yes, sir. The ship leaves today, by the way, as far as I understand it.
Yes, and I hope they haven't injected some of our people with some experiments.
Yeah, that's...
I saw some stuff making the round. But George, it's an interesting question, because the Americans, in the person of Barack Obama, has just apologized to the people of Guatemala, I think it is, where some medical tests was done in the 40s by the Americans. Yes?
Let me tell you, the people of St. Lucia have rebelled very vociferously about this thing, Brian.
Yes. The Americans have a history, a not too pleasant history of experimenting in this thing.
Yeah. Hold on, before you move on, another one from Margaret. Margaret says, Brian, I'm not making light of it all. Too many people are dying at the hands of the healthcare system. And worse, they are dying from simple things. Can you imagine what is happening in the truly complex situations?
Yes. Margaret is right. Absolutely.
All right. Go ahead.
Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee, George. I was reading a report from these folks recently, and something caught my eye. That recommendations out of that committee for the last couple of years have not been adhered to. And I am saying to myself, okay, Fiscal Responsibility Committee, loopholes in the law that will allow the governance of this country to not be controlled. Financing could be spent in areas that they are not, that doesn't truly represent how we are spending and taking in money. And those recommendations have not been adhered to. And some of those recommendations, George, are tweaking of the law itself. And I am saying to myself, hold on a minute. So why is that committee there? To look at the finances of the country and find ways of tightening the controls that we may have on how government spend our money. You know, George, I am going to make an extreme statement. If after 2 or 3 years of presenting reports and recommendations to the government of Grenada, and they have not seen it fit to take those recommendations on board or bring it up at all for debate, I will resign with good reason. Because my role as a committee is being misused and abused for political ends, George. I leave it right there. You know what other thing came to mind, George? This whole process of election and election monitoring. In that after every election for the last 40 years, and I've been back, there have been recommendations by those people who are here.
Observer missions.
Monitoring observer missions, monitoring our elections, and putting out reports that suggest there are questions in certain areas of our electoral process. And nothing has been.
Well, that point was raised very recently about the reports coming out of the last election from the OAS and the CARICOM observer missions. So the person was asking, I think one of the papers was asking whether or not these have been those recommendations. And as far as many of us, most of us know, they have not. I think what's going to happen is that just before the next election, we will hear that these things have been implemented. What say you?
I thought very much there will be talk about it on the platform, but that is not what people would want to listen to. They want to know if they're going to get some dollars in the next t-shirt.
You're probably going to get yours already, eh?
Just in closing, John, there seems to be a debate also in this regard about whether the petrol-carrying debt is public or private. And I am laughing at this whole debate that's taking place. Because the petrol-carrying deal with Venezuela is a contract that was signed between the government of Grenada and the government of Venezuela. So it has to be a national debt. Not only that, George, but recently, I understand there is a U.S. bank buying up some of this petrol-carrying debt. I believe they have bought the Jamaica debt. If I'm not mistaken, the price on the market was less than 50 cents. So some banks, some American banks are sitting on some of this debt here.
Thank you, Mr. Pitt.
Thank you, George. Have a nice weekend.
Yes, sir. There he goes, Mr. Brian Pitt. Mr. Brian Pitt. And that conversation, by the way, was, put your headset on, George. That conversation was held on Friday morning. Good day, Grenada. Please join us tomorrow morning for the next edition of that program. Folks, break time, and then we'll come back with Mr. ALLAN BIERZYNSKI.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grandams, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Now, on Thursday morning's edition of Good Day Grenada, we had, as always, Mr. ALLAN BIERZYNSKI. He talked about the visit of the U.S. naval ship, the hospital ship, if you will, the Comfort. He talked about his reaction to the statement issued by Senator Simon Steil. And he also talked about, let's see, what else here did he talk about? The pitfalls of social media. I'm going to take one quick little break here, and then we'll come back with that.
Good morning, Grenlek Meter Reader.
Morning, Mr. Meterman. I'm glad I caught you. Last month, I got a very high bill, and I don't understand why.
Last month, we were not able to access your meter, so we had to estimate the bill. This will happen if we don't get an actual reading.
So, what can I do to ensure that my meter is easily accessible?
Well, you can get your licensed electrician to move your meter outside of the gate or directly in front of the house. That way, I'll have easy access and I won't have to deal with your dog.
Ah, Butch.
Yes, dogs can be a problem sometimes. On one occasion, I was attacked by a dog and police had to get involved. Customers who don't want to cage or tie their dogs should really move their meter and make it easily accessible.
Well, I'll consider that.
Thank you.
Grenlek, energizing our Grenada.
Okay, I see a note here from John. John is saying that the winds are picking up, but no rain as yet. And John is out there in Carriacou. Well, John, I just took a look out on the balcony while you guys were listening to Brian. It is dead calm here. It is absolutely dead calm. However, just to the southeast of here, some very, very dark clouds. Wait and see what happens. Here comes Alan.
I am not going to spend time trying to interpret what Simon Steil has put out, because I don't know that while it has come under his name, that he is actually responsible for writing it. Given the lesson of instruction that was previously circulated by the individual I referred to previously as Sarah Sanders, but now I'm beginning to think more of as Kellyanne Conway, because what we saw in that statement put out under the name of Simon Steil actually attempts to disseminate a series of alternate facts. And as you well know, that phrasing was originally employed by Kellyanne Conway. So for anyone who actually has listened to what takes place in the Parliament or at the post-cabinet briefings, it is clear that that long statement consists of a number of alternate facts. And I'm not going to dignify it with a detailed response. I will leave it to the journalists. So, for example, I already have noticed that my neighbor in Richmond Hill, assuming that Monjaloo and Richmond Hill are close enough to be neighbors, but nevertheless, Sandra Ferguson has written a detailed response to some of these statements which have been put out. I see that a professional journalist, Beverly Sinclair, has addressed Sarah Sanders or Kellyanne Conway, take your pick. And so I'm going to leave Simple Simon where he is, because on a previous occasion, I have gone to great lengths to explain that we have a long tradition here of not believing official government statements, going back to the 60s when we had Radio Lionel, and then from 79 to 83 when we had Radio Free, in quotation marks, Grenada. And so from time to time, I think when you were there, the Grenada Broadcasting Network, or the whatever the name was previously, for at
Grenada Broadcasting Corporation,
GBC. So for a time there was a relative freedom where self-censorship was not overtly practiced, as appears to be the case today. In fact, I remember fondly that when they were operating out of temporary premises at the junction of Observatory Road and Lucas Street, that on Wednesdays I was invited to go and talk about Calypso. And we would have a good time, Godfrey Augustine and myself, playing old-time calypsos and remarking on the fact that a lot of what had been sung about in the past in Trinidad, in Antigua, and even in Grenada appeared to be repeated by persons in public office. And it was a source of some amusement for us and for our listeners. Now, I refer to the Grenada Broadcasting Corporation, as you have helpfully advised me, because I think you will also remember when they were at Monjaloo, up the road from me, the old TV station. Now, 15 years ago, that property was demolished during the passage of Hurricane Ivan. And so a massive investment that had taken place there. Above ground, you could see a very large diameter satellite dish. Below ground, there were, I suspect, cables and all sorts of infrastructure, which cost certain investors a lot of money. Now, those were the days when we had just embarked on deregulation of the telecom sector. And as usual, a minister of government was charged with the responsibility of issuing licenses. So to the best of my knowledge, at least 4 providers were issued with licenses, each of them under the impression that this market was going to be able to support all of them. And so I think that one was called Global Network Providers. And I don't know who the investors were, other than to say that some have left the jurisdiction. One, to the best of my knowledge, who put in a lot of sweat equity, has died. Another one, I believe, has found greener pastures abroad. And so the property, and I don't know to whom the property belongs, but after 15 years, I see that a piece of heavy equipment is parked on the premises and that demolition of the buildings has started. A little bird told me that this is where the headquarters of the National Disaster Management Agency will be relocated to. Now, I can only hope that by the time they get there, that the person in charge of national disasters will have been replaced so that he should stay in Richmond Hill, but a little lower down, if you get my drift. There's accommodation there with rooms with a view. Now, the issue of press freedom, which is taking up a lot of time. It's on social media. But I want to caution all of you, if you need to be cautioned, that social media is a dangerous arena. Just earlier this week, we had some heavy rains. Some idle people started circulating photographs of flooding in Grenville and River Road, which date back to the 1st of August, 2018. In fact, one of them reached St. Lucia, and a colleague there sent me a copy of this flooding taking place and asked me, what is going on in Grenada? Well, it took me until the following day to figure out, well, no, River Road didn't flood this time. Grenville clearly was not flooded to the extent that appeared to be the case in the photo. And so you have these idle people sitting down for whatever reason, flooding social media with inaccurate or downright malicious information. So again, you have people who have been putting out on social media all sorts of conspiracy theories about the purpose of the visit of the hospital ship. Again, ask yourself, when you see who the conspiracy theory is coming from, whether or not they have a vested interest. So if, for example, you have a Cuban-trained dentist who is closely associated with the ruling administration and ought to know better, promoting conspiracy theories, it is because one who could reasonably conclude that she doesn't want her potential dental patients going to get free service on board the U.S. hospital ship. What is more difficult for me to understand is how it is possible that you have another close associate of the ruling administration who is in the Senate, is not a medical practitioner, and who would seem therefore to have no vested interest, would likewise be suggesting that people need to be careful, and that that individual in particular wouldn't be going on board and not giving any samples of blood, because you never know what they could do with it. They might give you Zika, they might give you chikungunya. God forbid, you might even get syphilis. On the other hand, though, you have been no doubt informed that a delegation from the Grenada Tourism Authority managed to find themselves on board. It has been suggested to me that they just went there to see if they get free food. Because for the life of me, I don't know why the Tourism Authority would have a delegation on board the hospital ship, what they went there to see. Because separately, I am told that the various honorable ministers went to tour the facility. Perhaps, I hope that the pictures that the tourist board took will be sent to the Ministry of Health so that they could see what real facilities look like, instead of them continuing to try and mamagai people, talking about they can't have meat and chicken and supplies and whatnot in the hospital because who thief in it? No. You will realize that my pressure going up because I am tired of these individuals trying to mamagai Grenadians. Why is it that these people who have not benefited from advanced education, so that, and I say they haven't benefited from advanced education because they feel the rest of us dunce. We are not dunce. We have access to the same internet. We have access to the same news. And everything that all you try to prevent us from finding out information is doomed to failure. Because it doesn't matter how many Kellyanne Conways and Sarah Sanders and Simple Simons you have. The truth will out. We are not living in the dark ages. And so, I will say that continue to focus on the real problems. The problems that you cannot deal with have to do with controlling the spread of ideas. You cannot control the spread of ideas. Therefore, your time would be better spent in dealing with the infrastructural issues. Deal with the fact that you've opened the schools and allegedly there appears to be a shortage of teachers to staff the classrooms. Deal with the fact that you have a shortage of staff at our hospitals. Deal with the fact that if you place an ambulance on the western side in the police station in Guelph, you cannot have a driver who resides in Cloget. It makes a nonsense of the idea that the ambulance will be able to respond to emergencies. If you are constantly engaged in driving up and down with sirens and outriders and official cars in order to get from point A to point B, but you refuse to deal with the fact that the public road is continually obstructed by individuals parking their private cars in the public road because they have nowhere to park their private car. Deal with them. Get the wrecker out. Charge them for obstruction. Simple things. Fix the potholes. I am tired of hearing about all of these PhDs because I now have become a pothole dodger. That is my PhD. I have to be extremely careful when I am riding my two-wheeled conveyance because I was pulled over by a motorcycle patrolman earlier in the month, ostensibly to check license, insurance, registration. Fine, I have no objection. I wish they would do more of this. But to my amazement, I was informed on inspection of the license that was issued by the competent authority at the Inland Revenue that my G-class license, which I have held since 1980, and G is all class, the motorcycle cop informed me that all class does not include motorcycle and motor scooter. I said, true? So you mean to tell me all these years now I am driving illegally? I was then informed that the regulations changed but the license that they issue didn't change. Well, at this stage now, I am wondering which lawyer I am going to engage, because if he charge me, his courthouse we going, and I win already. Anyhow, I was not charged, but I was referred to the traffic department, whereupon I was informed that in fact certain regulations have been passed and that the licensing authority at the Inland Revenue hasn't been able to keep up to date. And I was issued with a paper addressed to the Inland Revenue and the licensing authority, instructing them that as the holder of an all-class license, they now need to issue me with an A-class to authorize me to ride a motorbike or a motor scooter. Well, on the face of it, all class means all class. So I don't know where we're going with this one. I will keep you posted as to what is going on with the law and me.
I can't wait.
And I wish you a good day.
Well, you ain't going anywhere, sir. Let me tell you right off the bat, you ain't getting off that easy. Because, Mr. B, I've been sitting here very quietly, no interruptions, because I have a few things I want to say this morning. Not only have I been making a lot of notes about what you've been saying, but before I get to my piece, I just want to share some of the comments that came in while you were speaking. John says, and sadly, the other stories are being forgotten, such as cell phone gate, security detail, etc. By all the attention deflected now by this press farkas. Donna Joseph says, ha ha, yes, Mr. A.B. The disaster who is in charge of the disaster agency really needs a room at the best free hotel with the best view on the island. So says Donna. Okay. I'm scrolling down here very quickly now. She also says, Mr. Aby, the tourism people gone to the boat for the photo opportunity that they can, so that they can alter it and post it onto their website to attract tourists in a make-believe way that Grenada has state-of-the-art healthcare facilities. Oh my gosh.
A good one.
They're creative out there this morning. Anthony Arallo says, that's the real problem. They're feeling large and in charge, and they're blatant with it too. John says to you, Aby, no shortage of police, you notice? He also says, Margaret says, regulation change, but license ain't change. How so? I'm confused. Cullen Bubb says, George, on the minister's response to Callistra, this is a textbook example of terrible damage control, almost 2 weeks later. So Senator Simon Steil is asserting that the government conducted an investigation of itself and exonerated itself in the Callistra Farrier Winston Garraway matter. Not a police investigation, not even an independent investigation involving members of civil society, but an internal investigation? An internal investigation administered by whom? Mr. Garraway himself? Was Callistra interviewed? Were surveillance camera tapes reviewed? Was the CID involved? Has their investigation warranted an independent review by law enforcement? And will we see the transcript of their investigation? Okay, AB, my turn. Mr. BIERZYNSKI, a couple of days ago, I was asked to participate in an online program called Ride Along Live with Junior George. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I think a lot of our viewers have. It's something similar to what we're doing here right now. And I made it clear that I was a little bit befuddled by the emphasis being placed on the so-called alleged assault that took place at that post-cabinet briefing. Let's assume for a minute that there was an assault or battery or whatever you want to call it.
Well, actually, it's important to make the distinction. The assault can be verbal. When you have battery is when there's physical contact.
All right. One way or another, Mr. B, if that was the case, it was wrong, it was deplorable. Let's set the record straight. But AB, I saw some more serious issues dealing with the control being exerted on the media in this place by government. You can twist that around to say the infringement on freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of whatever, freedom of the media. Maybe that to me is the big issue. And then when I read this man's statement yesterday, it made me sick. And here's why, AB. He says, reporters are in no way limited to the questions they can ask.
Oh yeah? Don't go there.
Where has this man been? Didn't he hear about the incident where Ms. Farrier tried to ask the Prime Minister a question about his marital status? No? Didn't he hear about the issue with the U.S. ambassador to Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean when Farrier tried to ask her a question? And the list goes on and on and on. AB.
As I said, George, alternate facts.
This man also says, and I'm pulling an exact quote, it says, he's talking about the reporters. He say they have more access to government officials now than at any other time in history. Baby, you know, I work alone, so I don't have the time, but if I did, I would go back and pull up the scores of programs I have done on my platforms where I have had to go either on camera or on microphone and tell the Grenadian people, look, I call so-and-so minister and I try to get that information, and they ain't giving me. They're not answering the phone. You leave a message, they're not returning the call. You leave a voicemail, they answer the voicemail. So what the heck is this man talking about? What is he talking about? And you know what? I just may prove it to you this weekend, because you know what? When I finish here with you today, AB, I go in and phone him. I go in and phone him and ask him. He's not going to answer me, so I know it's probably going to be a wild goose chase, but it's a chase I'm prepared to go on, to try and reach him, to invite him. Come and sit down in that chair here Sunday morning and explain that.
I would like to find out what is the record of government answering questions in the Senate, because I think you will find that there is a history of questions being put forward.
Sitting after sitting after sitting.
Not getting onto the order paper. So there's never any response because the question is never properly put. I think that is a pattern that has been demonstrated over the years in Parliament. But I speak subject to correction. I'm sure your colleagues in the media fraternity could confirm this.
Yeah. All right, AB.
But what is constraining your colleagues? I don't understand it, because I don't think that they are prone to the wearing of tight clothing in order to appeal to any particular constituency. I mean, I would expect that if your clothes tight, that you have to keep moving. You just can't sit down. The danger with that, of course, though, is that when you find yourself in the situation where you really need to stand up, you have to see Alice.
All right. Thank you, AB. Now, let's get serious. AB, you have known me for a long time, and I think you know that I do the best that I can to be accurate whenever I report something. AB, we have heard one side of this story, and that came on Sunday from Callistra Farrier, all right?
Yes, I saw that.
Okay. About 15 minutes before I went on the air this morning, I called a friend of mine who's a reporter. I'm not going to mention her name because I have to protect these kids. And I asked her if she was at that post-cabinet briefing. No, she wasn't. Okay? Have you spoken to any of your colleagues who were at the briefing? Yes, several of them. Okay? Was the report that we are hearing from Ms. Farrier accurate? You know, if you saw the program Sunday, you saw where she mentioned that apparently this gentleman swung his left arm back, and that's how she fell to the floor, okay? And you know what this reporter said to me? Said to me, Mr. Grant, not one person saw that, and there were several of them there, not one of them saw this woman being pushed to the floor. Not one of them, AB. Okay? I said, so what do you think happened? She says, Mr. Grant, I don't know. I was not there. But everybody I've talked to said the same thing. They did not see this woman pushed to the floor. It's not true. So I said, oh my God. Go ahead.
What I would like to hear, because I haven't heard it yet, is the audio recording of the verbal assault, including the rebuking of the devil.
For entertainment purposes.
Oh man, that will be fantastic to listen to.
Well, I asked this reporter if there was any video. She said yes and no. She said the post-cabinet briefing had already ended, and this happened at the end, after the reporters had shut off their cameras and all of that. But apparently, when GBN found out that something was happening, they rushed and tried to make sure that they could get some footage, okay? She said they got more audio than video, but the minuscule video that they got does not confirm the reports that we've been hearing in social media that this woman was pushed to the ground. Okay? AB, in the interest of fairness, I felt that it was the proper thing to do to sit here this morning and tell you the other side of the story. Here's a note from Benedict Cador saying she did not say she was pushed. She said she fell as a result of him swinging his arm. And that's what we were talking about. We saw that in the, that's up on the website.
That's the difference between assault and battery.
Okay. Now.
Yeah, and again, the photograph that has been receiving wide circulation has been described by Ms. Farrier herself as saying that that photograph was taken when she was getting up.
Yeah.
and was holding the recording device out in order to record well, let us say the ranting of the Minister of Information.
Yeah.
So this was her coming up, not going down.
All right. Well, social media has taken this to the nth degree because what you're hearing a lot of people out there talking about is this woman being pushed to the ground. She did not say...
She didn't claim. She didn't make that claim.
She did not make that, as Benedict is pointing out here, and Margaret says she agrees with Benedict. But A.B., something went wrong, and I think we're missing the real issue here. It's not about...
For people who are in that room to have seen nothing defies credibility.
It does. It does.
And also, the photograph does show one of the individuals who apparently wanted to respond to Ms. Faria's questions behind the minister, being shielded by the minister. Being shielded for what reason? I don't know that journalists constitute a threat to national security. In any event, how is it that only one government minister seems to warrant all of this security detail? I don't know. I thought this was the most popular politician on the island.
You know, again, it opens our eyes up to something you said a little while ago about social media. And just let me share an example with you. Somebody sent me a video a couple of days ago about the 5 most dangerous fruits that we in the... Have you seen that one?
Yeah, what a load of rubbish.
Crock. I think one is a star apple, another one is a sugar apple, another one is pawpaw, and I don't remember what the other 2 are. And nicely...
This looks like the type of thing that would be circulated by Dr. Mumbi.
Dr. who?
Dr. Mumbi.
Yeah, yes, Dr. Mumbi. Yeah. I've seen her. Well, listen, when I got that video, I was concerned, so I decided, let me check it out. I contacted the Food and Nutrition Council, and they, in turn, have contacted the Pan American Health Organization about this. Maybe there ain't no truth to this thing. Apparently, folks, for those of you
but all of us know that because we consume these fruits regularly and we don't dead.
I would have been dead a long time ago. Folks, what this thing is saying is that these 5 fruits could not just cause you illnesses, but could cost you your life, okay? 5 popular fruits here in Grenada. And the video was beautifully done, I have to admit, okay? Beautifully done. Margaret says, what went wrong is a blatant attempt to stifle the free flow of information that was of importance to the senior minister's constituents. Absolutely, Margaret. And that's the point I made on Right Along Live a couple of days ago. That is the real issue. Kipling says some people would always find ways to twist the truth to suit their ulterior motives. Well. Paley Darbo says 5 fingers is another one of those fruits.
Yep.
Frankly, I certainly don't even miss 5 fingers. That's a fruit I just have no taste for in my life. None whatsoever.
Carambola. You probably get carambola juice and you didn't know it was 5 fingers?
It's possible, but I just can't take it. Anyhow, B, that's where we stand this morning. Yeah, that was actually Thursday morning. Alan BIERZYNSKI and yours truly. Folks, let's get back to the issue at hand here. The rains have started. I was just standing on the balcony out there. Yeah, visibility is down to like less than half a mile. I can't even see the carnage from up here on Woolwich Road anymore. And not only that, but the winds have also picked up. I would say they're blowing 10 to 15 knots right now, at least when I came back in here about 5 minutes ago. See a note here from Tessa Barry as well. She says the rains have started. When we got started this morning, I was in touch with somebody in Trinidad who said it wasn't raining at all, Chamfleur. Well, she just sent me another WhatsApp, says the rain has begun. And there were also people sending me various videos what happened in Tobago this morning. It looks like Tobago, yeah, they got the stuffing kicked out of them. You know, not like a hurricane, but you know, when you consider the magnitude or size of the storm, yeah, they got hit this morning. John out there says that no rain here yet. That's in Carriacou, no rain. Well, John, I'll tell you something. I am a little bit puzzled here because as I speak to you, I'm looking at a satellite picture. There's a huge blob of red between Grenada, the southern part of Grenada, and Trinidad. That red is just over the southern part of Grenada, which explains why, you know, earlier on I told you how dark it looked down there to the south and southeast. Yeah, that explains it. And I don't know whether it's going to move to the north and then cover us. If it does, there's a lot of moisture in that system there. Now, hear this. I received a note this morning. Well, let's see. It came in at 2 minutes to 11, 10:58. It's now 12:07, so about an hour and 9 minutes ago. This came from none other than our dear friends at NADMA. It is captioned, Tropical Storm Karen to start affecting Grenada by midday, Sunday. So in other words, anytime right now. And that seems like it's pretty accurate because, like I said, it started raining here. Now here's the text of that release. The National Disaster Management Agency advises the general public that Grenada is under tropical storm warning. According to the 8 a.m. update given by the Meteorological Office at the Maurice Bishop International Airport, Tropical Storm Karen is located at 11.9 degrees north, 60.9 degrees west, moving at 9 miles an hour, with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, and is moving west, northwest. Just let me pause here for a minute. They are referring to the 8 o'clock report this morning. Something I find kind of strange. I referred to the National Hurricane Center's website just 5 minutes ago, and they still have not put out anything about Karen in their 11 o'clock report. They talk about that system I told you about that's coming off or came off the coast of Africa, which has very high potential to develop, but not a word about Karen. Getting back to this here, the release from the NADMA. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles per hour. NADMA, that's a distance. That's not a wind speed. Let me repeat what it says here. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles an hour. No, NADMA. It's 125 miles from the center. Okay? Okay. The center of Tropical Storm Karen is expected to pass over Grenada by 2 p.m. today. Due to the designation, the National Emergency Advisory Council met in emergency session at 8 a.m. and the following decisions were taken. 1. The National Emergency Operations Center will activate at 12 noon today, Sunday. Better late than never. 2. The following shelters will be activated at 11 a.m. in the north, St. Patrick's Roman Catholic School. In the south, Caliste Government. On the west, St. Rose Modern Secondary School and Lestaire Rosary School on the sister isle of Carriacou. Well, am I ever delighted. We are now well into the second half of the hurricane season 2019, and as I predicted, I am hearing about shelters with a storm an hour, maybe 2 hours away. Yeah. Finally, I'm hearing about shelters from NADMA. Finally. God help us. 3. NAWASA has advised that all water systems will be shutting off at 12 noon today. So I guess it's now 12 minutes after 12. Supposedly they shut off. I was at the tap while you were listening to AB and still had water in the tap, but that was about 10 to 12. Forecasters have predicted that the system is expected to bring 3 to 6 inches of rainfall, causing flooding and landslide in areas so prone. A marine advisory is also in effect. Businesses and homeowners are asked to activate your emergency plans. NADMA, through the Meteorological Office, will continue to monitor Tropical Storm Karen and provide updates of changes. Yep. As I mentioned, this came in at 10:58, 2 minutes before 11 o'clock this morning. Ryan Jabon is asking, where are the hurricane shelters for St. Andrews, Brenda? I don't know who Brenda is, but anyway. Brian, we've been trying to figure out for more than 3 months. More than 3 months. Yeah. Lawrence Kruthoff says, good morning. I'm watching and listening here in London, and hello to everyone. John says, just watch the 5-fruit video. I should be dead according to that video. You and me both, John. And Abraham Joseph says, mangoes were another of the fruits. Yeah. Can you believe that? I would have been more than dead, man. Jeez. There's wicked people out there. Anthony Howard is asking, is it true that a storm should be hitting Grenada within the next 2 hours? Hello? Anthony? All right, folks. I'll tell you what. It's been totally improvised Sunday morning, but I do thank you for having joined me. As I mentioned at the top of the program, I did send some invitations out to people to join me on Zoom. That did not pan out through no fault of theirs, but because of some technical difficulties we had here. So let's pull the curtain down now for today's broadcast with a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Actually, these are the words of Jesus. I'm taking this reading from John 14, verses 1 to 4. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, Believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way. Yeah, you know the way to the place where I'm going. Jesus speaking there in the book of John 14, 1-4. Okay. Ryan says to stay safe. Judy Benoit says, George, a few shelters have been activated for some flood-prone areas. There are people in other areas that are not flood-prone, but their houses are. All shelters should be opened once a warning is issued. Judy, I have no argument with that, my friend. No argument. I've been pleading for the shelters. Pleading. I wanted people to know where the shelters were before we found ourselves in the situation we're in right now. As I mentioned, this storm, this thing is no Ivan or no Janet, but still, there could be need for shelters. There could be. Why haven't our authorities seen it fit to tell us about them? When I sat here and I read here it is, the following shelters will be activated at 11 a.m. What about the others? And why are we only being told now? Dennis Perkins says, George, thanks for the show. God bless. Stay safe. Thank you, Dennis. And to all of you out there, folks, stay safe. Take whatever cautionary steps you need to take. You know, don't go playing around rivers, and if you happen to see downed power lines, please don't go touching them. Instead, try and get a hold of Grenlec so that they can come take care of the issue. And I hope you've done what I've done, filled a few containers with water, just in case. Judy says, probably there are no more. Judy, yeah, Judy, you're right. God bless you, my dear friends. See you tomorrow morning at 9.